What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 88. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and today I'm joined once again, but for his first time, by Kris, aka Young Tough One. Kris, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Yeah. We were chatting briefly earlier. Yeah, we're in the middle of moving. Lots going on. Cool recent life changes. 2020 was wild. Things are getting really neat with the fan art getting kind of popular these days.
Yeah.
So, yeah, life's good.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Appreciate you hopping on once again. Remember, viewers, you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma911 every other Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can join the chat if you're a sub over there. We'd love to have you. If you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. And go over to YouTube and SoundCloud the very next week where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video in MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. And last but not least, hashtag add merch store and get all of your swag over there. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand. Support us. It would be greatly appreciated. So yes, Kris is back on, and I'm excited to chat with him. He already kind of brought it up with the art. Artemis, this is not a good time. He already brought it up with the art. So I kind of wanted to pick your brain about, obviously, the art and how you got into it and your progress with that. So I guess we'll start off simply. How'd you get into art? How'd you get into doing the pieces that you put up on your Instagram and Twitter, etc.?
Okay. Well, let's see. So, I've drawn my entire life. My grandmother somewhere has images that I drew of Ninja Turtles. So my first fan art was when I was like 3 or 4 years old.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Drawing Ninja Turtles and Spider-Man and Wolverine. A lot of Wolverine. And then I went through a phase in my late teens into my 20s where I didn't draw at all.
Okay.
I had kind of had it in my head that if I couldn't kind of sit down and do it all in one take, then it just wasn't worth doing, and or I just wasn't measuring up, that kind of a thing. So anyway, put that aside. I took a couple of classes in college that kind of rehashed my passion for drawing and just kind of was really kind of going back to square one. And it was, I want to say, it coincided with a Destiny 2 release.
Okay.
I absolutely love that game. And I drew some Destiny fan art. It was just in ink. And that was the first time I was ever featured on the blog of Bungie.net, which was mind-blowing to me. Still kind of is. And even then, I didn't do art in color. I wasn't yet doing anything digital. That was kind of a intimidating prospect. And then went to PAX West in 2016, 2017. But I ended up meeting Nerf Alice.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And her and I started discussing artwork, and then we kind of collaborated on a couple fun pieces afterward, and I just kind of it just sparked something in me collaborating with her where I was like, well, I have to give this a try. And she's a magician. We've seen her artwork, and so that just kind of got me going. So I had this really little cheap pen tablet. I still had to draw on a surface and look at my image on the screen, which for a lot of people there's like a mental disconnect there, and there certainly was with me too. And so started doing some fan art there, and eventually ended up with an iPad and started just really diving in. And once I kind of sharpened the tools a little bit, I ended up getting even better pen tablet, and really the tools definitely make a difference. And just after that, this kind of coincided with a career that I had budding, that kind of thing. So we're kind of more into like recent time now, but I ended up losing my job due to COVID. And I put out a couple of tweets just kind of about my situation, and I had an outpouring of support from other kind of funny best friends, and just other mutual friends and video game enthusiasts on Twitter, and got a lot of commissioned work that really at a critical time helped me stay afloat while I got some other things going. And I just started posting the work, and people just really kind of gravitated towards it. I've done several Game Over Greggy pieces,
Mm-hmm.
and whenever you can do something that the community receives really well, it's always really exciting and kind of boost your self-esteem in that kind of in that way. But yeah, that's I mean, really kind of the shorthand version, but it's just kind of an opportunity being out of work and doing a lot of commissions and just putting out fan art and sharpening the tools, and yeah, it's just mind blowing to me still that
Right.
I used to hang my Ninja Turtles on the wall, or on my grandmother's refrigerator, and now I can post it to Twitter, and just recently I was featured in the blog of Treyarch because I did a Call of Duty Zombies fan art piece.
Cool.
And so that kind of stuff is just, it's validation for an artist is
Right.
like, that's the drug of choice. So
Uh-huh.
so anytime something like that happens, it's always really cool. But I still look up to a lot of other great artists. A lot of them stream on Twitch, and so it's really cool to be able to see their processes, and I still have heights to aspire to in that realm. So we'll see how that goes.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's definitely been interesting and fun seeing, obviously, like your progress with, you mentioned like the commission pieces that you keep putting out. I'm like, oh shit, Kris is doing this one. Look at the one that he did here, and this is like all looks fantastic. And yeah, I'm glad that obviously the commission work came in a time you needed it, and like you're getting that exposure there. So hopefully it just keeps exponentially growing for you, which is great. So you mentioned a couple different like avenues of how you've obviously created the art. You started with the pen sketches and then going into the digital art. Has there been one that maybe you prefer, or like one that was maybe a little bit more difficult to get grasp of as you tackled it?
Well, I mean, there's something very like organic about a pen or a pencil and paper. I mean, we all start off that way, right? And so there was definitely a learning curve in beginning to do digital art, but I honestly I prefer it right now. I mean, I really enjoy my workspace. I got my monitors and I have my pen tablet in front of me, and I can set up reference images, and there's just a lot more I can do in my space. And the digital landscape or canvas gives me, I mean, limitless possibilities. So right now I'm really enjoying it, and I feel like I keep hitting new, I guess I'll reach a plateau and then overcome it, and I have these little epiphanies along the way, and I could see it reflected in the art. And so I'm still, I mean, I'm excited to see, like, I still feel like as good as folks say that I am at art. It's always a weird thing to acknowledge, but yeah, I feel like still like I'm scribbling compared to the people that I look up to, really. So but digital art is really cool. I won't say that there's one way better than the other. I mean, whatever you're personally into, I still sometimes will we'll draw with a pen during work, like during meetings, especially when we're on Zoom, and we didn't use video at the time, so you're listening to meetings and you're doodling, and then I would take a snapshot of the doodle, and I could use my phone to kind of create a new layer, and lay flats and create a new layer and add highlights and create, and so digital is really cool. There's just a lot of possibilities there.
Nice. So kind of circling back to something you just said with that answer and you're referencing the TMNT drawings. Has there been certain artists, or whether it's comic books or regardless, that you've kind of pulled inspiration from, or like kind of modeled your work after?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a big fan of anything that Jim Lee touches. I was, as a kid, we didn't have the internet when I was a child growing up, so I had notepads and scratch paper, and I had comic books, and so and he just, man, if you really look look back during that era, a lot of the most iconic images really that come to my mind in terms of like comic book art and covers and things were likely drawn by him. It's kind of mind blowing, like how many different Marvel, DC, whether it's Superman, Wolverine, whatever. I mean, he's had his hand on all of it. So Um, can't say that I model my work after his.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough style to emulate. But I definitely, there's probably some influence there. I kind of like currently, I watch a lot of, there's a Twitch streamer named Young Khan.
Okay.
And he was kind of part of that Destiny 2 streaming community. Started out doing a lot of emotes. Now he's doing like branding work and just really kind of expanding on his offerings, doing different like streamer packages and animations and so he's kind of a cool person to watch grow, because seeing the steps that he's already taken kind of shows that there's a pathway for me to kind of follow in suit. Yeah, other artists that I watch. I mean, I grew up watching a lot of Bob Ross.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think that's probably the answer for a lot of young artists. But and aside from that, it's just a lot of experimentation.
Yeah.
That's kind of where the style comes from. I feel like I can try to emulate someone else's art, but no matter what, for some reason, it comes out of my hand looking like something that I've done.
Good.
And so instead of being, good at mimicking others, I just, I'm gonna roll with it.
Yeah. Hey, that's good. That's good. It probably feels a little bit more rewarding too. And you're like, they look different, like this is mine, and kind of just like I traced this or whatever, kind of thing.
Right. But I'll say, that kind of has its place too for young, aspiring. If you're just starting out and you're trying to kind of figure things out,
Mm-hmm.
definitely don't trace and try to set it off as your own. But, it's definitely helpful to kind of begin to understand visual language and
Mm-hmm.
get into more of the, intricate parts of understanding the why you're putting lines down and the economy of lines. And anyway, so I don't want to knock tracers, but definitely don't sell your artwork if you've traced it.
Right. Yeah. Use it as that stepping stone or learning mechanism, like you said. Yeah, definitely smart
absolutely.
There. So next question I have is about like inspiration. Like, what keeps you going with a piece? You mentioned sometimes tackling that wall of doing a piece all at once. Like, what helps you? What motivates you to do pieces when you do them?
Seeing other people's cool artwork, really. Lately, throughout the last couple years especially, my social media feeds are, I have video games and a lot of art and, lately a lot more disc golf.
Mm-hmm.
But I see, other fan artists that are just putting out work at an unbelievable rate, and I wish I had the hours in the day to do that. But it's definitely inspiring, and it's cool too to be able to kind of see how they approach certain pieces, and social media is a pretty cool learning tool. Excuse me. I wish, if I had something like that as a young person, probably would have accelerated the learning process for me,
right.
Quite a bit. So, but yeah, whenever I see something really cool on social media, or a new movie will come out, watching Godzilla versus Kong, I was like, man, I gotta get to doing one of those. I probably have like 4 or 5 different ideas on the back burner right now, where like if I wasn't packing to move and doing all these things, I got 2 kids, that kind of thing. I'd be churning out all kinds of cool stuff, So yeah, I take inspiration from lots of places. Definitely video games is a source of inspiration. That's an art in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And other community artists. Kind of funny, has an artist community that is just incredibly talented. And every time I think I've seen art from all the artists in the community, 4 or 5 more emerge with something that's just, just gobsmacks me. Just
right.
just stops me in place. And I'm like, wow, okay, gotta step it up. These guys are so good. So that kind of thing.
Cool. Do you have a favorite piece that you've worked on?
Oh man, lately I've done a lot of really cool ones. I'll say I probably have a few, probably 3 current ones in mind that I really like for different reasons.
Uh-huh.
I did the Superman image of Greg Miller, which not only was that really cool that it was so well received, and he made it his profile image on all of his socials. So that was really cool for that reason. And then I did the one of Cameron Hawkins, right? His last name's Hawkins, right? Of him and his favorite Pokemon. And that was just something that I saw him just kind of throw out into the world.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And he's like, it'd be really cool, someone with this particular talent, And I got a chance to hang out with him a little bit at PAX West a couple years ago, and he's just a stellar guy. And we've always had good interactions, on social media. And so I'm gonna do this real quick, kind of without saying anything. And so I put it out there. I didn't say a word to anyone, and just put it out there. And I just, getting those kind of reactions where people just really are appreciative. I just really dig it, because again, it's just this validation. Like I do it for me because it's fun to be able to be like, yeah, cool.
Yeah,
I did that. But when somebody really appreciates, so like ever since I started drawing, I really I guess started drawing like seriously over the last 5 or 6 or so years. I've always been like, I want to create, an emotional response similar to when, you're hanging out at a gathering and your favorite song comes on. Like when your jam hits and you're just like, oh, excuse me, I got something to do real quick. Like I want somebody to see my artwork and be like, oh, like this is, I have to have that. Like right. That's cool as hell, And so that's kind of what I aim for. And so, that one's really cool. And then I got to do, recently I've been doing a lot of commissions of animals, and I got to do like a Star Wars related, where a fella is creating, I believe the story is he's a microbrewer.
Okay.
And he's putting out a line of Star Wars themed beers. Nope, excuse me. Please tell me you can still hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Nope. I did hear you. Oh, camera's frozen now. Yeah, Kris has made a lot of cool stuff. If you guys, I'll put it obviously in the down below, but you guys can check out his Instagram and his Twitter and stuff like that. He's posting stuff all the time. I think the piece he was talking about with the Star Wars one he's posted recently, that one looks really cool. He already mentioned Greg's profile picture, the Superman piece. That was a fun one. I think he released that near Snyder Cut time, but that was a fun one to see. But yeah, he's got a lot of good artwork here. There's a Mando piece that I'm a big fan of. If you guys are a fan of Mandalorian, he's got that. What else has he got in here? He's got some disc golf pieces because he's a big fan of that. Let me see if he's anything in chat. Okay, looks like that. Take your time. There we go. So yeah, he's a very, very talented individual, and it's been cool to see his progression, like, since I've started, like, obviously seeing his pieces online. He's done some wrestling pieces. His computer shut off. No problem. Yeah, something I want to pick his brain about is like if there's a certain medium he kind of wants to tackle. So like I mentioned, he's done the pieces obviously for Kind of Funny, like he said as well. Well, it's Greg or part of the community. I think he's done some pieces for Snowbike Mike, maybe his emotes. So he's done those. He's done some pieces for that are not for, but are wrestling related. So he has a piece like of Bray Wyatt before. No, it was about the Fiend piece. He's done a piece for Sting and AEW. Like, there's some crazy stuff that he's been into. I think he's also, with disc golf, he's done some of, I don't know if it's team members, because I don't know if it's a team in disc golf or if it's just individuals, but he's done some of the players there. And he's gotten some response back as well from them, which is pretty nuts. He also put out on Twitter not too long ago that someone else had reached out to him in the sports world for a commission. So I'm really happy for him that he's getting obviously this exposure and this, he's building this network for himself, obviously through his art and through his work. But yeah, guys, if you guys want to go follow him, like I said, it's over on Twitter, it's on Instagram, it's at YoungToff1, YOUNGTOF1. You can go follow him over there, check that out. Like I said, he's doing commissions. You can check him out over there if you're interested in a piece. But yeah, I hope you guys have been enjoying the podcast and having guests on. It's always fun to kind of pick the brains of the Kind of Funny community on obviously the projects they're working on and their progress, whether it is art, whether it is podcasting, whether it is editing, like we talked about last week with Corey. Like it's fun to talk to everybody and learn about their projects. Like obviously everybody's got their life to live. Like you got the job, you got your family, you got all this stuff, but then those side projects that people kind of take upon themselves to tackle and push themselves to do more. It's interesting to know, first off, how they do it, like how they're balancing everything, but then like where their motivation comes from. It seems like obviously, once again, with the Kind of Funny community, like a lot of us were inspired by those guys, Greg, Tim, Nick, Andy, etc., to do stuff, and it's a matter of taking that and how do, we do it and do it our own way. I hear him. So it's interesting. I wonder how he generates new ideas for his work and avoid falling in the trap that I might fall into, just recreating someone else's idea. That definitely makes sense, Papagriff. Yeah, we'll have to pick his brain with that. But yeah, it's interesting, like I said, to see how the community kind of comes forward and gets inspiration from something, and then like, what, I want to try and do that. So very cool, very cool. Send invite. Let's do that, and then I'll do this. Like that. We gotta load. There we go. Yep, I can hear you now.
All right.
And we can see you. Welcome back.
Man.
Technology.
I know. At the most opportune moment.
Yeah. All good. So yeah, actually we had a question from chat. Papagriff is wondering how you generate new ideas for your work and avoid falling into the trap that maybe you like, not falling in the trap of like recreating someone's work. We kind of touched on it a little bit before, but is there any like, I don't know, tactics you use or things you kind of try to use to your advantage to make it your own, I guess?
That's a really good question. That's kind of a fine line, really, especially with fan art, because a lot of times, and I've seen it in many other people's art as well, they're using the same source images.
Okay.
And so they're all doing they're doing their own interpretation of the same image. And so, sometimes that can be really tough, especially lately, when I've done things, like the Superman image again to reference, I came right from a still frame of the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of other artists did very similar takes. Obviously not with Greg's head, but, and so it sometimes that can be kind of difficult to navigate. There are, having the internet, there's a lot of really great references out there. So if I look up dynamic poses, and I look up, just source images to try to get my, initial sketches to be original. I want the posing to be, dynamic, but obviously when you're doing something that you want, especially if you intend on selling it and calling it something that is original, you want to make sure that you aren't just copy pasting someone else's work. So if I'm drawing an image of a beloved character, I tend to take a couple references of that character, but then I'll typically have a pose or two poses that I'm using, and then adapting the reference, to say, okay, well, he has a jacket, the jacket goes here, and adapting it to, the different pose references that I'm using. So, there's ways that you can kind of
hodgepodge together an image. And so when you do it that way, one, it's a fun exercise in problem solving. You're taking, you know, this pose, this reference, which can be from anywhere, and you know, trying to superimpose the image of this character that already has its own visual language. It's already well defined, and if you mess it up a little bit, people are going to know. And so that becomes a fun problem solving exercise. So that's kind of the route that I take. But again, you know, with fan art, it's a little easier when you're doing caricatures of people, because you know, then you're not ripping off someone else's artwork. So
right.
You know, I've done caricatures of again of many different kind of funny personalities, and also famous disc golfers, and it feels more original. You know, you're just fine at that point. You're taking your image, which is, you know, a natural image, a photograph, and you're taking it in and trying to translate that into a visual language that is a cohesive body of work, and that can become challenging. And again, like, you know, I think a lot of artists are problem solvers, so you get into that flow of, okay, well, I want it to look like this, but this doesn't flow together well, and so you have to kind of figure it out on the fly. So, you know, if you have a question of your artwork and whether or not, like, you have the ability to navigate those waters, or, you know, you're looking for ways to just have more original, you know, works, then use natural references. You know, take things right out of nature, physical, you know, items. Yeah, probably the easiest way to do that.
Cool. So yeah, last question. We started favorite pieces. Did you actually say a favorite piece? I can't remember.
Yeah, the third one we were talking about. So yeah, I talked about the Greg piece.
Yep.
Oh, it was the brewery.
Yep, right.
The fellow that does the microbrewery. Yeah, that was when things
yeah.
shut down on them. So yeah, I got to draw a corgi as Darth Vader.
Okay.
And that was fun just for the sake of it being fun. And he didn't ask for much, but I just kind of went in on it.
Okay.
And it you know, and it turned out really cool. It's you know, you can probably, that's definitely on my Instagram. And, you scroll down my Twitter, it's there too. But yeah, that was a really fun one. So right now, those are probably my 3 favorites.
Cool. Another question from Papa Griff. Do you favor black and white or color imaging? And then also a follow-up, have you done any story type work, or is everything pretty much freestanding?
Both good questions. So even though I do a lot of my work in digital right now, I have such an appreciation for inks drawn over pencils.
Okay.
And I just think that is it appeals to me in a way that, I mean, I imagine at some point when I have a studio space that's well defined, I will just have a bunch of really cool like rough pencils with inks over them of my favorite artists just up somewhere. You know, that's so. And I've done some pretty cool ink work, but I mean, it's such a neat feeling to be able to take something and add the rendering to it, the color and the shading and the light, and it just kind of comes to life. So again, like right now, I'm definitely favoring the digital art, but there's just something like within me though, like that when I see rough pencils with good inks over the top of them, like I don't care about the finished work. Like, yeah, like let me see that. Like it just speaks to me.
Cool. Let's see. Okay. So with art, is there a skill that you want to try and improve that you've noticed for yourself?
Definitely, yeah. And this actually circles back to Papa Griff's second part of his question about the story type work. And so, like, a lot of my stuff really is kind of freestanding, you know, just dynamic posing, things that are just more like monolithic or iconic, you know, kind of center frame and, you know, center of attention. But I've actually been watching a lot. I've been into concept artist YouTube lately. Okay. And their ability to take, you know, a wide framed canvas and place things in them and use depth and distance and, you know, use they like lower the opacity of the objects in the distance, and they'll create just something airborne to give you a sense of movement, and there's that storytelling element where that picture really does kind of tell you a lot of what's going on. And that is, it's a lot different than what I'm doing. But that is definitely a skill that I intend on working on, certainly. But with the fan art kind of stuff that I'm doing right now, and certainly trying to be marketable, I'm doing a lot more of that. So, doing personal stuff where, I get to kind of explore and expand my artistic horizons. I don't really get as many of those opportunities. So, but yeah, so that kind of answers both of those questions. Like, I want to be able to do the storytelling type concept art that, that I love, looking at, I always been a big fan of Halo, and my son and I both have the Halo art books.
Cool.
And my oldest son, he's a bit of an artist too. So like we really like getting into the concept art and that kind of thing. So yeah, so that's what I'd be working on if I had the opportunity.
Cool. Very nice. So yeah, I guess my last question then is any big goals? I know obviously you've made a lot of strides with the fan art, and then you tweeted out a couple weeks ago that somebody reached out to you, and I think it was the sports world, for a commission, and you were like, oh. Are there any big goals that you kind of see for yourself that you want to chase after?
Art wise, well, it's really just kind of recently that I started really considering myself kind of worthy of being considered for things like this. The pro athlete that reached out to me is actually one of the top again. I'm into this disc golf thing, and I've done some fan art pieces, and one of the top touring pros reached out to me and said, hey, I want to work together, so let's talk about that when I'm done winning some tournaments. So right now it's just a conversation and kind of a plan in the planning process, and I can't wait for that to come to fruition, because that's kind of a foot in the door that I'm trying to position myself into. So that would be very cool.
Nice. Great. Well, a lot of cool info to learn about, obviously, your art journey, and like I said, it's exciting to see where you're going from here and the progress you're making. So best of luck to you with that. Hope for continued success and fun with it. That's the important part. So I think that wraps up topic 1. So we're gonna move on to topic 2. Kris, what is your topic today?
I'm sorry, say that one more time for me?
Yeah. What is your topic today? Moving on to topic 2.
My topic today, yeah, gotcha. So, my topic today is the sport of disc golf.
Okay.
I wanted to kind of, if I have the opportunity to spread some awareness, we're always trying to bring new people into the sport. It's something that during the pandemic blossomed. The level of participation from people of all ages has surged. The production of discs can't keep up with the demand.
Wow. Okay.
And during the shutdowns, when people couldn't go out into the shopping malls and restaurants and things, one of the few things you're able to do was go out to the parks, and the majority of disc golf courses are on public parks. So it's a really inexpensive sport to participate in, or it could be as expensive as you want it to be.
Just like anything.
There's a collector's market, and there's definitely some discs that cost a little bit more than others. And so it's a wonderful sport. It kind of gamifies nature. And I know right now in our gaming bubble, being physically fit has become kind of our awareness has been heightened to it. And so I noticed, especially a lot of the streamers that I watch and YouTubers that I frequent their channels, they are discussing physical health because it's important. We talk about mental health as well, but a lot of us live a sedentary lifestyle. Like myself, I was behind a desk for a long time, way too long. Game, just wait, which is not a good thing. So getting out into nature, and you end up putting in 3, 4, 5 miles without realizing it, because you're playing this really engaging game, and it's really captivating to see the disc, the flight of the disc, kind of going in the air, and like regular golf. Each disc has its own intended purpose. So like you have clubs in a bag. I carry about 22 or so discs, and each disc flies a bit differently.
Wow. Okay.
And so depending on where you are, some courses are open, some courses are tight and heavily wooded. You know, you'll need an instrument to for that moment, and so it mirrors golf in a lot of ways. But again, it's really approachable. And so yeah, and so kind of going along with that, I'm actually opening up a disc golf store. As part of my moving back to Twin, Washington. I had lived there for 14 years prior, and my experiences through the pandemic really kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things, especially in the professional world where you know, there's a lot of old adages about, you know, all of us being replaceable. So I wanted to do something that was engaging to me, gave me an opportunity to chase a dream, and was also, you know, pandemic proof. You know, we don't, obviously now with this happening, we don't know what the future holds. And so if we're allowed to go out and throw discs, you know, even during a pandemic, that sounds like a business that might be kind of worth looking into. So so that's what my family and I are doing. We're starting a family business around disc golf, and I encourage everybody and anybody to go out and give it a try. Little kids, my 4-year-old goes out and throws with us. Good opportunity to take the dog out for a walk. You know, my 13-year-old playing. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to hit me up on all my social media. You know, I love talking about it. So
nice. Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. That's an exciting adventure. All right, so I'm going to ask some questions now because I don't know much about disc golf at all. I think if I recall, we might have had one like time in gym class. We might have played, obviously not with like the normal cage hoop things or whatever, but it was just like, here's a frisbee. All right, you're going to try and, or not a frisbee, here's a hula hoop. You're going to try and eventually get to that point, you know, kind of thing. So with it, you said it's essentially golf, just obviously with the frisbees and the discs. Is that true? Just simply as that, or?
Yeah, there's a basket, and so that would be your hole if we're comparing it to, you know, traditional golf. And you know, it's obviously distance appropriate to, you know, how you can throw. Professional courses are insanely huge. Those guys can throw a disc in a mile. It's amazing. But it definitely mimics golf in a lot of ways. A matter of fact, my hometown is Stockton, California. I'm not exactly sure when this will go on your YouTube channel, but for, you know, those watching us now, this coming next weekend, there's a huge, one of the Pro Tour events is in my hometown of Stockton.
Cool. And
it actually takes place on a ball golf course.
Okay.
This particular course allows for both to be played, and, you know, so they have access to the carts and the snacks, and, you know, it's very similar, and it's a lot of fun. It's a neat environment to play in. Or you know, where I'm living now, even I have a course 5 minutes from here, but there'll be one nearby where I'm moving to as well. That's just in the woods. You're just out in the woods. You know, hope for no wildlife larger than you are. You know,
there you go.
It varies.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I've only seen one course. We have one. There's a park, maybe a couple miles down the road that we've gone around to do some hikes, or there's some basic trails, and there's one that walks past one of the baskets and stuff. I'm like, oh, never knew this was here. You know, I don't know where the rest of the course eventually leads, but I'm just like, that was random, just seeing that out of nowhere. But cool. So this is a probably very dumb question. You mentioned obviously the numerous amount of discs that you can have that are for the different skill sets or throws that you need to be able to make. Is it just like golf where you like put a marker down and then you switch the disc you're using per shot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have a very, like a miniature disc that they use as a marker.
Okay.
And you'll place that disc right at the front of the placement of the disc that it landed.
Okay.
And at that point, you can pick your disc up, pull another one out of the bag, and so you're not locked into using like one disc per hole.
Okay. Yeah.
And so yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Crap, I had something and I lost it. Oh, okay. Another dumb question. Team game, individual game? Both. Okay.
Both.
Cool.
So in terms of professionally, like when you watch Pro Tour stuff, they typically do, you know, singles. Occasionally they'll have, you know, gimmick games where they'll play doubles, but locally, like at your local course, typically they'll have a day of the week committed to singles, and then they'll have another day of the week committed to doubles.
Okay.
And so some of those you can either bring a partner, or they'll do what they call random doubles. So just like it sounds, you'll just get partnered up with someone at random. It's a really cool way to get involved in the community, meet people you wouldn't meet otherwise.
Right.
It's been really difficult to do with COVID, especially, but with things beginning to kind of open up, and especially in regards to being outdoors and open spaces. Yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of getting out there, and it's fun to play in a group, and people are really supportive. It's competitive, but at the same time, everyone on your card is also rooting for you to kick the course's butt. It's like us against the course kind of thing, and so it's a really neat culture as far as being competitive, but also everyone being really, really kind to one another. Great community. It mimics the video games community in a lot of ways, which is really neat to see.
Cool. So you mentioned the flatter courses where it's just, the open space, and then you mentioned that there's wooded courses. For the wooded courses, or, there's a lot around. Is it an objective to use, like, I don't know if you can bank shot off of trees, or like, are you using the environment to your advantage? Or is it just absolutely, it gets nuts?
You get the disc to where you want it to go by any means necessary.
Okay, and cool.
So there's different throws. Hang on one
second. Yeah. Man, that's kind of cool.
Why I have one in my kitchen, it doesn't matter. But I have one in my So you can actually, you can throw it the traditional way that people are typically would associate throwing a frisbee.
Yep.
There's like ultimate, they do a lot of forehands,
yep,
or sidearms, you'd call them. So that's in play as well. My son likes to throw a lot of these thumbers.
Okay.
You just lock in your thumb here.
Oh, like an overhand
and
almost.
You throw it overhand.
Yeah.
like a baseball throw.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can flip it and make the same throw.
Okay.
Fingers on the bottom of the flight plate as well. But you can put it at any angle that you need to.
Okay.
So whatever you got to do. If you got to throw it up over the trees, if you got to throw it really low. A lot of people will throw skip shots. So you throw it really low and let it just kind of skip and head toward where it needs to go. Absolutely.
Wow.
It's really creative in that way too. So it's it adds to the fun, because you're not just swinging a club. I'm not dissing golf, because I enjoy regular golf too, but it's just, there's a lot more creativity, I feel like.
Yeah, that sounds nuts. I think I'd be more intrigued watching that all happen, because I'd be like, I know me, I'd be like, and it just drop off the tree or whatever.
So tomorrow on YouTube, there will be a Disc Golf Pro Tour event aired live on YouTube.
Ooh, okay.
And typically they have it on a Disc Golf Pro Tour site, and there's a paywall, but tomorrow it's free on YouTube. So I would, Google that and take a look.
Sure.
If I can find the information and get it to you after we're done here if you want.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But it's worth a look, man. It's you just see the things that they do, and you're like, I don't know how. I don't get it.
Stop being Captain America. Stop. What are we doing here? Stop.
And that's such a perfect association too, because when you line up a shot and you're like, you make a plan, you're like, I think if I do this and the wind's doing this, and you go through all of that, and it actually goes from point A to point B the way that you intended for it.
Yeah.
You feel like a superhero.
Right. Jeez.
1,000%. You're exactly like that.
It's nuts. Let's see. Papa Griff's got another one. He says, as someone who follows the PGA Tour fairly regularly, what is the yardage of a typical disc golf course, and how much is a set of discs go for?
Okay, so it kind of varies, because different courses are, they cater to different skill sets. So the holes, I'll say for the average, will be from between like 270 feet in distance to 600 feet in distance.
Okay.
This weekend, I have an older brother who's incredibly skilled. He's playing in a large tournament down in California, and there's holes there that are 800 to 1,000 feet long.
Wow.
And so then you're getting into more like, you're talking about a 300 yard, that gets more akin to like ball golf, where the ball travels a bit further than a disc would. But there, it's not unfathomable. I mean, I see the pro guys out there, they can throw a disc, 500-600 feet.
Dang.
It's, again, I cannot. My personal best is about 370.
Okay.
But and even then, it takes a lot of scrutiny and work to get there.
Uh-huh.
But like, there's guys that I see teenage kids, especially that are just getting into it, that have a baseball background, and they'll step up and they just have that build.
Yeah.
They just wing it, and I'm like, okay, so I've been at this for years. This is not fair. Yeah.
Nice.
So sorry, his second question was about the sets of discs.
Yes.
So you can get a beginner set online for roughly $30.
Oh, okay.
And that's for a base plastic, which will wear and tear a bit quicker. Or if you want to, get stuff that's going to be a bit more durable, then the discs themselves can range from 15 to 20 for the more premium plastic stuff. And again, if the disc is tied to a specific pro, or there's just a demand for it, then that can go up from there as well. But I've never paid more than $40 for a disc, and it was because either it was a really rare disc. So like there's certain ones, once you learn how to throw, a disc, you find ones that suit your throwing style. And so once you find those, if you lose that disc, you're not in good shape. So you buy a bunch of backups. And so I've spent quite a bit on backups of certain types of discs, but by and large, they're typically around $15, I guess, $20.
Okay, cool. So with the store that you're going to be running, what's the I mean, obviously the goal is to be profitable and be a good business, but like what's your projection for that? What are you aiming to do with the store?
Well, so yeah, I mean, when I'm a business major,
okay.
So I got my Bachelor of Science in business in 2018, and one of the things that you definitely learn is that you have to be solving a problem, and the problem particularly in the area I'm moving to is that there are two of the highest rated courses in the entire state.
Okay.
Within 20 minutes of either driving direction, and there's no store in the area to support them. And so they have to buy their discs online, and because there aren't enough discs being manufactured to meet the demand, it's really hard to get your hands on them. So if you have a mom and pop store in the area, then the likelihood that they'll be shipped some means that you'll have some available to you. So
right.
I'll be solving that problem. I'll be getting discs available to people in the area, but also trying to grow the sport. The area is predominantly retirees, but there's a lot more young families moving to the area. There's there is a thriving young community. My son's got a ton of friends. I've coached football in that town for years and years, and so the ones that kind of don't fall in line with traditional sports, in that kind of rural setting, they end up kind of getting themselves into trouble. So it provides another avenue for them to participate in something that isn't your traditional sport that commands that you conform to a certain standard,
right.
I'm talking about like football, that kind of thing. I grew up playing football, and I get it, it's not appealing to everyone, and disc golf is an incredibly laid back sport. You just come and you can just be yourself, and no one's there any preconceived notions. Just throw the plastic and we're happy. And so I'm trying to begin kind of like that groundswell of enthusiasm for the sport in the area, because there's already a thriving community there, and it's completely untapped still.
Right.
So the opportunity there, the potential there is great. So kind of step one is have a brick and mortar, let them come and touch discs and buy discs, provide a space for them to talk about the sport. I want to create a grassroots program where I'm holding tournaments weekly for newcomers, people that have never competed before, people that are brand new to the sport, and we can divide them up into age groups, that kind of thing, so it's fair competition, but create a pathway for people that have never really participated to kind of come in and really get brought up to speed quickly. I've been fortunate to network with a couple of professional disc golfers that are local to the Washington area.
Perfect.
So, I like to bring them in and do some instruction, that kind of thing. And once I kind of begin that grassroots kind of, right from the community that I'm in, I want to kind of step out, and above a bit further. I do also plan on having a website, so that way I can sell things, in the e-commerce space. and then I want to reach, to that next plateau, and that's, advertising, beyond the region, getting out to pro tour events, buying ad space in these large events, and just kind of trying to become more of a brand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my art background really kind of comes into play here, because I want to create apparel. Disc golf is a culture that doesn't really have a lot of its own stuff yet. Like we're gamers. I've been a gamer my whole life. If I want a video games related hat, shirt, belt, shoes, whatever, I can get head to toe fitted in things that reference some video game thing that I love.
Right.
And in disc golf, we don't really have that yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really kind of the perfect time for someone like myself that has that, entrepreneurial spirit to kind of step in and leverage, that skill. And yeah, so that's kind of the plan so far. I'm really lucky that because of the situation that I was in, the state of Washington is actually helping connect me with, I'm working with a group there called the Centers for Inclusive Entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And they're a consultant group that actually walks you step by step through the process to make sure you have everything in line, and then they help kind of coach you through those beginning phases of opening your business. So,
cool.
Starting your own business can be scary, which it absolutely is.
Yeah.
But my previous career as a nursing home administrator, I'm running a business there. I'm running a skilled nursing facility,
mm-hmm.
and I'm the executive director of the building. So I was already running a business for someone else.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, let's do it for me.
Right.
Let's get out and do it. And so, yeah. So we're gonna take a chance.
That's awesome. I mean, it sounds like a great opportunity. Like you said, there's the courses there. Nobody's obviously taking advantage of it locally. Why not just fill that, like you said, solve that problem that's there. So that's awesome, man. Sounds
right.
like you got a great plan and you know what you're going for. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Very cool. Let's see. Papa Griff's got a lot of questions. Good, because I'm like, let's see. He says, when I used to play golf, the courses would insist on having a full set of clubs to play, or you'd have to rent a set. Is there any similar requirement for disc golf?
No, there's actually no requirement. If you want to go out there and take just your putter, you can do that. If you want to take, again, more than 22, you're welcome to do that. I know in competitive play, I don't think they have a limit. I just think you have to be able to carry them on you, so you can't.
Okay.
So it's whatever you can pack in your bag, you can take with you. I do see a lot of like casual players that they're not out there analyzing every shot. They're just out there to get some exercise and have a great time, which is, perfect. And they'll have a small like shoulder bag that almost looks like one of those cloth lunch sacks.
Okay.
And they'll have a half a dozen discs in there, and just enough to do the 3-4 main types of throws, and that's enough for them to get by. So by no means are you obligated. You can compete that way as well. So you're not obligated to have a ton of discs just to start out with.
Mm-hmm.
A starter set you can get, it only has 3. It has a putter, it's got a driver, and it's got a mid-range, and those are your basic 3, and that's it's really all you need to kind of get acquainted.
Cool. All right.
Good question.
Yeah,
Griff.
definitely. Cool. I hope disc players stay cool. Some course pros were pretty questionable, especially the dudes who stunk like me. They weren't very welcoming. Oh, like on the course, you mean when you went out? Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, from what it sounds like,
the cultures of the two sports are vastly different.
Mm.
They really are. I've done both, and I'll say the disc golfers are a bit more forgiving.
Mm-hmm. That's good. So I guess last question I have. So you've obviously mentioned the store. I assume with discs they're like very customizable, almost like a bowling ball in a way. How you get all these color designs, etc. Is there any plans to maybe put your art and the discs together? Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And that is kind of the grand scheme. I've been working off and on actually with a local shop in the area I'm living to do some custom stamps for them.
Okay.
And the owner of that shop has been a mentor to me through this process, and he's investing in a stamp machine.
Okay.
And so that like permanently fixes the design. So I guess this is a good example again. So you have the colored part that's dyed into the plastic.
Okay.
And so that's never coming out. But then you have the name, and this stuff, and that's put on with a really expensive stamping machine.
Okay.
You can't put stickers on your disc. For some reason, there's a lot of rules about that.
Okay.
So if you want a design, you either have to dye the design onto the disc, which is a bit of a process, and I've done that, and it's doable. You can put cool characters on a disc, or you can use that stamp machine. And so he's got a stamp machine, and I got the artwork, and so we're going to try to work collaboratively on that. And then we've also recently learned that there's a segment of the discs that are manufactured that are only manufactured by one company.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping, and this is definitely later planning down the line, that we could actually put out our own line of discs as well, and it would all feature my artwork, or I kind of have this other dream of commissioning artists that are from the video game space. So there's a lot of overlap. I've noticed on my Twitter that there's a lot of gamers at disc golf.
There you go.
There's a lot of us. It's crazy. I didn't realize that. I kind of felt like I was out on an island, and then all of a sudden I see like people referencing disc golf. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And so I would like to kind of take advantage of that overlap and put out an entire line of discs, and all the discs are named after some video game trope. That kind of a thing, and really kind of take those kind of designs, pixel art, that kind of stuff, put it on disc golf merch, put it on shirts and hats, put it on discs, that kind of thing. So yes, definitely, to answer your question, that's a dream for sure. That's part of it.
Very cool. Well, that's awesome. Like I said, seems like you got the plan ready to go, and very excited to see how that goes.
We're working on it.
Oh, okay. Here's one. Do you have a name for the business yet?
So I do. We're going to be stationed out of Sequim, Washington. And when I said it was almost the furthest northwest part of the country that you could go to, from the beach nearby my house, you can see Canada.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, so we're on the North Coast, and so I'm calling it North Coast Disc Golf.
There we go. Simple, but it works. Nice. Very cool. Very cool, Kris. Well, I wish you nothing but the best for that. I will definitely be following you on social media. I want to know what's going on with this. I'm excited to check out the thing on YouTube tomorrow and see how crazy this all is. So very cool, man. Very cool. Thank you for sharing all that info, and obviously your plans for the store. It's great, man. Very cool.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Podcasting is something that I really want to do more of. I got the microphone and the camera, and I got the tools, and so I got to set myself up a little space when we get moved into the other house. But it's definitely something I want to do more of. So
cool.
Anytime you need somebody, or if you know any others that are looking for a guest, whether art related or not, I can talk about whatever. Let's do it.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. I'll reach out. All right, moving on to topic 3. Viewers, if this is your first time listening or watching this podcast, whenever I have a guest on 1v1 for the first time, I like to take them through the lightning round of questions so you kind of get to know them a little bit better. So I'm going to take Kris through the lightning round of questions right now. Kris, pretty much going to ask you a question, anything or first answer that comes to mind. Let me know what it is. Anything you want to elaborate on, you're more than welcome to. But if you just want to leave it at the answer, you can do that as well. Are you ready? Good, sir.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. Nothing too difficult, I promise. All right. First one. Favorite color?
Blue.
All right. Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Okay. Favorite game?
Halo. Right now, Destiny 2.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Oh boy. Favorite movie? Probably Endgame.
Okay, nice. I mean, that's a good one. Favorite type of music?
I like lots of them. I listen to a lot of rap. I grew up in Stockton, California. A lot of Bay Area rap. listen to a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty easygoing. I kind of, if my lovely fiance puts on too much country, but I'm pretty easygoing though.
Nice. Favorite song?
Gosh, favorite song. It's not the lightning round if I drag my feet, is it?
You wouldn't be the first.
You know, it's probably something Aerosmith related.
Okay.
I was really, as a kid, I was really, really heavy into Aerosmith.
Cool. All right. What was your dream job when you were a kid?
Comic book artist.
Nice. If you could have any animal to be a pet, what would it be?
Oh, wow. Well, so I've had some odd pets. As a kid, we had raccoons and things.
Oh,
so
okay.
I had a ground poodle once. I'm kind of stoked about just having a cat and a dog right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could meet one celebrity, regardless of alive or dead or status of their celebrity-ness, who would it be?
Oh, man. These are all very good questions.
Hey.
I'd like to ask Stan Lee a thing or two, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Favorite season?
Summer.
Nice. Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Mm-hmm. What is a skill you wish you could have?
Ooh. Wish I could dunk a basketball.
Mm.
I'm 5'6".
And last question I got, what is a game you would recommend that I play?
If you haven't played Immortals Phoenix Rising, that game, it just thought I'd mess with it for fun.
Yeah.
And I picked it up and put it down a couple times, and now I intend on finishing it.
Cool.
It's a game that I will continue to go back to. Or Horizon Zero Dawn.
That's a good one. Nice. Very cool. All right, everybody. This has been another episode of the Wait What We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, a.k.a. Enigma911, and today I was joined by Kris, a.k.a. Young Tough One. Kris, thank you so much for being on the podcast again, man. It means a lot.
Hey, again, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
Absolutely. I'm glad you had fun. Remember, viewers, you guys can catch this live over on twitch.tv/Enigma911 every other Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can join the chat like Papa Griff today. If you're a sub, we'd love to have you. If you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. You can go over to SoundCloud and YouTube the very next week, where it's put out topic by topic, and as one big video and MP3 for you the following Friday. Last but not least, #ad merch store and get all of your swag over there. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand, support us. It would be greatly appreciated. Kris, once again, thanks for being on, man. We'll have to get you on again to talk some more wrestling or some other stuff. Obviously, checking on the business once you get that going, how that's going after the move. So,
Thanks.
Awesome. Chat, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you guys on the next one. Take care.